Families often find themselves overwhelmed when their loved ones require help to function on a daily basis.
Good morning, Reliance Home Senior Services, where we bring great home care to your home. How may I direct your call?
We at Reliance Home Senior Services are a full-service geriatric agency specializing in home health care in the 5 boroughs and Nassau County. Our services include geriatric care, daily grooming and hygiene, monitoring diet and nutrition, accompanied walks, assistance in taking medications, and case management services. To have our licensed staff maintain quality of life and independent living for your loved one, call 516-308-4840 or visit www.reliancehssny.com. Reliance Home Senior Services. We bring great health care to your home.
Hi there, welcome back to All Things Home Care with Dana Arnon. I'm sitting here with one of our newest families that just came on to our Reliance services. Hi Ronnie, how are you?
Hi, I'm Dana, nice to meet you.
This is our first time that we're meeting,
Yes.
so we're meeting under unusual circumstances, I'd like to say. Your mom had come onto service with Reliance just a few weeks ago, and the reason why I wanted to come and talk to you, or have you come talk to us, and maybe talk to some of the people out there, was because your first starting with us was a little rocky in the beginning. Your mom had services from another home care company before, and I just thought that your story was a very typical story that I see, that we have conversations with families a lot, and I thought that you and I had made a little bit of a connection over the care of your mom, and I really wanted people to hear your story and to hear how mom's doing and the transition that mom has had from being an independent person onto some Medicaid services and receiving home care in the home. So thank you so very much for coming. I know it was a little bit of a trip for you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about mom and what she was prior to coming on to services, how she was as a, just as an individual.
Well, Mom has just gotten out of rehab. She had fallen in February and was in the hospital with a fractured pubic bone. Mm-hmm. So with that particular problem, there is nothing they can do, but she just has to wait it out and let it heal itself. Yeah. So after 2 weeks, they put her in rehab. So she was in rehab another month.
So let me ask you, before mom fell, she was home by herself?
She was home. She had health care aid from 9 to 1 every day.
From Medicare or Medicaid?
Through Medicaid.
Medicaid, okay.
And it was through CareLink. That's who the provider was.
Okay.
And the care started getting to be a problem. Mm-hmm. And she did have one great aid, but she could not transition from 9 to 1 to her new hours that she needed, which was 10 to 8. Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, just so people get an understanding. So mom was home with 4 hours a day of an aid, and how did she fall? It's typical nighttime?
Again, this was, she was mostly alone from 1 until she went to bed. And my mother, like a lot of women, who had been house mothers there most of their lives, she saw some dirt on the floor and said, I'll just go pick it up, and let go of the walker, and there she went.
So she was using a walker prior to that? Okay.
Yes, and she had no idea she could not be without it until that time.
Okay. So then she goes to the hospital, she's in rehab, so she's doing the physical therapy and everything, gaining some of her strength. And now when she's going home, was it still the 4 hours, or did you?
No, they had assessed her in the rehab, and that she was no longer able to basically take care of herself, in a sense of getting undressed, getting showered, getting fed. She walks and she has physical therapy at home once a week, but she's so weakened that she needs an aide behind her at all times while she's walking, even inside. So yeah, that's basically everything changed after the rehab.
So how did she deal with the change, though?
Very poorly.
Yeah.
Very poorly. She's very depressed. She's in a building now. Her previous history was she was 8 years in the Atria, which is a assisted living, which she really didn't need, but she's wanted to be taken care of. And since my dad had Alzheimer's, and he was not doing well, she was not doing well. So that's when we brought her from Florida back to New York City. And unfortunately, from the Atria for 7 years, it used up all her funds.
Oh.
So once she was getting low, and she didn't even like it for all the time she was there, my aunt is living in a building in Garden City Park and told my mother about it. And my mother fell in love with it, and we moved her in there a year and a half ago, 18 months ago.
So she's had care for the 4 hours for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. And the care, so tell us a little bit about the aid services, that not specifically about the vendor, but like the aid services itself.
The aid services were cooking, cleaning, washing, laundry, just being someone to talk to. Unfortunately, now, not opposed to then, she was mentally better. She didn't have this problem with this fall, which cognitively, even though she's fine, she's not the same as she was.
Yeah.
And
how old is she?
She's 91.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's 91. And, so now she's ornery. I would say her filter is pretty much gone on her, how she speaks.
I would say that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, her filter is
but she's
gone.
also going from where she had 4 hours to how many hours now?
7 or 8 hours a day.
Yeah, so she has someone around her all the time.
Yeah.
So, so let's talk a little bit, because you and I had a conversation, about the aids that come. So you transitioned from another vendor to us in the middle of May. So it's only been a couple of weeks now. And so you and I, when we had talked, I said that for me, as a nurse and as the owner of the company, I like to get connected to the family so that we can create that understanding between the two of us. And you and I had a conversation, which is what led you really to come here. So during that conversation that we had, and we were a little bit abrupt at the beginning, and then I started talking to you about the other side, the aid side, the agency side, mom's side. I always try, whenever I'm talking to a family that's going through a rough time, the transition from company to company wasn't an easy one, and certainly wasn't smooth on our part. There were some definitely hiccups there. But what about that conversation helped you to understand, maybe to see it a little bit from the AIDS perspective, or see it sometimes from the agency's perspective? You said that when you came to our company today that you've never been to an agency before, which I thought, that's interesting. I think most families should come and see who's caring for them, who's scheduling, and who's, doing all the background things for not just the aids, but there's a whole other company behind those aids. So what specifically about our conversation do you think was a little bit of a turning point of how you could understand, the difficulties on all sides?
I think it's huge. I am so grateful that we had that bit of an antagonistic start of a relationship and ended up forming into a bond as a team.
Yes, important.
And it only happened because of the way you explained it.
Okay.
No one has ever spoken to us.
In what capacity? So, like, if someone's listening right now and they're going through, I don't mean to interrupt you, but, I'm sure there's many people that are dealing with exactly what you were dealing with. The tardiness of the aids, or the not showing up of the aids, or the transportation issue of the aids, and then you have an ornery mom who's expecting that caretaker. She can't get out of bed herself. So, if you were to talk to other families, or when you explain our conversation to your siblings, because there's other siblings there, and what is it how would you get that point across to them so that they have the similar aha moment that maybe you had that day?
Well, I think explaining to them exactly what your agency really does, and that just because you fill out Medicaid papers and you go through a managing company and you get aids, it doesn't mean it's just all going to happen automatically and you don't have to do anything. I think
you're talking about the family.
The family, from my point of view and my perspective and the family's perspective, we had absolutely no idea other than to make a phone call. We had no idea. All we were told was be an advocate, make sure you get what your rights are. But we didn't understand that unless the aid and us and you all work together to understand the patient and to understand who they are, it's never going to work.
It's not.
And it's been very frustrating for these last 2 weeks. Maybe we got lucky with the other agency. Mom found somebody. It was only 4 hours. It wasn't a big deal. But I have to tell you that it is a completely different situation now with the 8 hours or 10 hours.
Well, she's more dependent on those hours.
Well, it's better for the family, too.
Not to worry about her.
If she needs to go to a doctor, we don't have to run from Manhattan to come out here to try to get her or get an ambulance. Someone's there with her. I think that it's been much more helpful for us to understand that, I mean, I've gone to my mother's apartment, met with the aides unexpectedly. Everyone was lovely. Yes, there is language issues, and at 91, my mother's hearing is not great, and of course, unfortunately, she's very vain. So to get a hearing aid, we're taking it to an audiologist. Will she ever wear a hearing aid? I don't know. But I had a hard time understanding, and I have much better hearing.
Yeah.
But I felt the person, and I knew that she meant well. So I would take the extra, come into the kitchen, let me show you. My mother was, go in the cabinet and get this. And they're like, I don't know what
you're saying something so important to me right now. So do you feel like as a so if you would have just shut that aid down right away because of language, you could have been turning away someone who would have been very good for you.
Absolutely.
So do you feel that it's the duty of the family to take that extra step, or do you?
Yes.
You do. So do I. You know, I feel like it's your. If it was my mom,
I see the difference.
You see the difference. So my words to families out there would always be is that give it a moment. You know, don't just be abrupt, or don't just judge based on what you're feeling in that second. You have to take that extra step. And everybody always says to us at the office, "Oh, it's your problem. It's your problem. It's your aid. It's your." But it's really not. Yes, we're there to support the family. Yes, we're there to care for the patient. That's what we're in business for. That's why we do what we do. But if we had that support of the family to take that extra moment just to talk to that aide and treat that aide as a human, they're coming to the home. You know, what I always think is that they're coming, you know, they know their language skills aren't the best. They know that they're considered, you know, not the top of the job chain, which I don't understand. They're doing the world's best job in the world, you know. But they're entering into the home already with those feelings. So I feel like if the family just embraces them a little bit and shows them, you know, show them the kitchen, because you and I had that conversation about, you know, what happened with mom. And you know, for me, it's that they're coming in, they're already feeling like they're not welcome or they're not wanted. And if they're not, you know, welcomed on some level, it's going to be difficult to ever find that right fit for the person.
And what was interesting was I've been explaining this to my mother, and I said to her, because she mentions to me, oh, they come in with a face on. I said, no. You're inviting them into your home. You need to be smiling. Maybe they're shy. Maybe they don't understand. Maybe they're afraid. If you open up the door with a smile and welcome them, you're going to see a smile.
Did she do that?
And she did. And that's helped a lot.
Okay.
And it's taken a lot of stress off of her, because when I went with her with one of the aides, the woman couldn't be lovelier. She wanted to care for her. She wanted to help. And my mother's, you don't know, and you didn't, and then I don't understand you. But they get it if you do it. And I tried to explain to my mother, if you don't work with them and be kind, incrementally they will learn all the routine. You want them to come in and immediately know what to do.
Or know what you want.
And know where to go and what to get. Because you think because you can, they can, and you have to stop that. They need to be nurtured in a sense of you want to train them over time, incrementally, to pick up your daily habits where you won't have to say it. So I tried to say to her, if you don't behave better, and I believe very much in behavior, if you don't behave better, you're going to get a new aid every day. Every day you're going to be straining to have to explain to them everything that needs to be done. And you know what? That's on you. I can't help you with that. You either have to get it, or this is what your life will be like. What would you like to do? And she automatically said, I'm going to be better. I'm going to get better.
That's amazing.
And I don't know if you've had calls yet about her, but she was at her wit's end because she didn't have, she wasn't home long enough to get comfortable. And now she had all these strange people, and she wasn't doing well. But I think now, after you and I came together, and I'm willing to be a supportive member, then I think it could work out. But I will say that the aides here that I have met have all been lovely.
Oh, thank you.
I do want to tell you that.
I appreciate that very much. You know, for me, I always want families to be open enough to have that conversation. You know, we're not going to meet everybody's expectations all the time, but I think that sometimes if people just see the other side sometimes, I think that it will just change the whole dynamics of everything.
I think we all have to be empathetic to each other's issues and see that for us to come together, to make this a really wonderful experience.
And I feel like at 91 years old, she wants to be home. She deserves the opportunity to be home, and she deserves the opportunity to be home and be home happy. So I'm glad that we had that conversation. I'm very grateful for you to be here. So just before we end today, what would be your last words to families? So if families are listening and they're struggling with the same struggles that you've had with your mom in the situation, or with the agency that they are, other than if they're struggling with an agency, call Reliance, and we'll have to happily help you.
Well, what I would say is that I think these podcasts are hugely important.
Oh, good. Then you're going to come back again.
Absolutely.
Oh, fabulous.
And I
I'm
think,
happy.
and I really would like to spend the rest of my life after I'm finished working in giving back. And I really feel I understand the elderly. I'm going to be one of them. Mm-hmm. I want to be treated with respect, but yes. I also want to be able to like what they're doing to help me, and realizing, yes, I might be paying for this, but it's a service for me, instead of looking at it like something wrong with me and I need this help, and
being angry about it,
and being very angry and very frustrated.
Right.
Look at it as a companion, but someone who's also there to really help your needs. And I think that the whole thing with the younger generations who have seen our parents go through Alzheimer's and understand that may not be the way we want to live our lives at that time. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a great education, because once we do this, I think, especially with the need for immigrants to come into this country, which I'm a big proponent of, to educate them and have them feel comfortable and like doing this job, and treat our parents and loved ones with as they would their family. Mm-hmm. Would be a goal for me.
Yeah, but you want them to feel wanted when they come.
Yes.
That's the big thing for me. They say all the time, when I go there, she doesn't want me there. No, she doesn't want to be in that situation, but she wants you. I just think the families need to learn how to express that.
I think so too.
Very good. So I'm going to have you back.
Thank you.
Maybe in another month when we have a little bit more time with each other.
I would love it.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to be saying goodbye. So Ronnie, once again, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Dana.
We're going to be signing off for All Things Home Care with me, your host, Dana Arnon. Visit us at RelianceHSS.com and call us at 516-308-4840 with any information. Again, thanks, Ronnie.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.